Hello boaters, welcome to Narrowboat Journeys. This is the second part of the How It All Began video. In the first part I dealt with finding the boat and actually just buying it, and in this video I want to talk about what happened when we first moved onto the boat and some of the work that we had to do to make it livable. So we moved onto the boat on the 8th of August 1990. It was at Medley Boat Station, which is on Port Meadow in Oxford, and the boat was a 48-foot hire boat that we'd bought, and it was in a really pretty bad condition, hence the price. It was quite a cheap boat to buy, and but it did need a lot of work. On screen I'll put a picture of the holiday brochure that featured our boat, and you can see the way that it's laid out inside. It slept 6 or 7 people, I believed, and inside it was all plywood, pine tongue and groove, functional, but none of it was very nice. It hadn't been looked after at all, and so it wasn't at all kitted out for living aboard. This was going to be more of a problem really than we realised. We moved on in August, as I said, and winter was coming. There wasn't even a stove in the boat, so we had an awful lot of work to do. Now, they didn't look after the boat very well. I don't know about during its working life, but certainly when it finished working, they left the thing unlocked with doors and hatches open, and in the winter the thing would fill up with water and sink, literally. Down round the back of the boat, inside, there was a tide mark going right around the back of the boat. It was a good about more than a foot from the floor, all the way around the back of the boat, and that's where it had sunk every year. And, and then the new season would come up and they would pump the thing out and start again. Because they'd let the boat sink and hadn't looked after it, the floor, which was plywood with lino tiles stuck down on it, that was completely rotten, so that had to be ripped up. The boat was, as far as the insulation goes with the boat, there was no insulation at all below the gunnel, and above the gunnel it was polystyrene. And this wasn't done very well. It was 1-inch thick slabs of polystyrene, but it wasn't cut out neatly. It was just shoved behind the pine, and it was very ineffective. So the walls had to come out, the ceiling, everything had to be replaced, starting from scratch. It was a monumental amount of work, and we had to live in the boat at the same time we were doing it. I don't know how we managed it really. Now, in order to do all this work, really we needed a blank canvas to work on. So we were still at the boatyard at this point, so luckily we had access to a skip, and it was a matter of ripping everything out inside the boat, literally anything that we could. We started down the back end of the boat first, ripped out walls, floors, ceiling, right back to bare metal, red oxided it, started to replace the floor, and then I put in rock wool insulation below the gunnel, and above the gunnel and the ceiling, which was polystyrene, I reused some of the old polystyrene, but luckily where I was working at the computer company, the power supplies they used for the computers would come in large cardboard boxes with sheets of flat polystyrene to pack them with, and they were quite happy for me to take as much of that as I wanted. So over the course of a few weeks I brought home loads of the stuff. So a lot of the insulation on this boat is just small sheets of polystyrene which has been wedged in really tightly. It's made a good insulating layer really, so that at least worked out fairly well. During all this work we had lots of other surprises as well. First time it rained, that was a good one. Found out that just about every single window in the boat leaked. They'd all been riveted in with putty, regular window putty, to seal them, and this had dropped out in most cases. So I had to remove all of the windows and reseal them. Some of the hopper windows didn't even have aluminium bars on the bottom of them, so there was one occasion when I tried to open a window, gave it a push and the glass dropped out and smashed. So that was another good one. We had problems with the gas system as well. In the boat there was a cooker, a Paloma water heater and 2 gas heaters. They were catalytic heaters, so it looked like just rock wool that you just lit, and it was a damp heat. It was very unpleasant. And as soon as you turn them off, the boat would go cold and clammy again. Didn't like them at all, but it was better than nothing. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was that just about every single compression fitting in the gas system was leaking. Couldn't believe it. So that was something else I had to fix. I did all that myself. Another interesting thing was our first test drive on the boat. We couldn't use it right away because although it had an engine fitted, they'd taken the automatic gearbox out. And we're going to install a manual gearbox, which was okay with us. We didn't mind that, but it did take a little while before we could go anywhere. Anyway, on the maiden voyage, we set off and just went a short way up the Thames, turned round and came back. All went well, really. Not too much. I wasn't very good at steering, but it went okay. And we had the boatyard guy with us. However, coming back into the boatyard, and there were lots of little plastic cruisers moored up there like that, and we got to the point where we needed to go into reverse to slow down to stop, and I pulled the lever into reverse, and turns out they hadn't tightened the lever up. The lever clamped onto a shaft onto the gearbox, and that had slipped. So I was moving the lever, and yet it wasn't actually changing the gear at all. So we ended up almost ramming a load of plastic cruisers because we couldn't stop. I managed to aim it into a bunch of reeds instead. So that was interesting. And the guy who'd fitted the gearbox, I think he got told off about that one. But anyway, they refitted it and it was all right. Luckily no boats were trashed during that little exercise. That was fun. This may seem quite negative, all the things I'm telling you that was wrong with the boat, but it's absolutely true. I mean, I was very green. I didn't know anything really about boats at the time. I realised straight away there'd be a lot of work converting the boat to a liveaboard, but it was an exciting time. It was a lot of hard work because I was working as well, and the two of us were living on the boat amidst all this work. And then I had a message about my mother. She'd just been diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, so that didn't help. Because we were both working in Oxford, we spent most of our early time on the boat in the Oxford area, going sort of between Isis Lock and Wolvercott, occasionally up to Thrupp. But mostly, I suppose we spent most of our time sort of near St Edward's School, which was it's all residential sort of moorings there now, but it didn't used to be like that. The work to fit out the boat was painfully slow. We were working as much as we could on it, but it was still a very slow process. One thing that did make life a bit easier down in Oxford was that there was a very good community of boaters back then. I don't know what it's like now because I've not really moored much in Oxford for many years, but it was good. We met lots of friends down there, and that certainly helped it helped break up all the work and the monotony of it all. Well, that's pretty much how I got started aboard a narrowboat. There's plenty more tales to come, so please remember to tune in and see the rest of my vlogs when I get round to making them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.